Morning, my dear students. In previous class, we discussed about Gauss theorem and solved some numerical based upon it. Today, we will discuss some of the applications of Gauss theorem. So, before solving, we have to know about concept of a symmetrical surface known as Gaussian surface. So, at first, today we will discuss what is the need of Gaussian surface, what is Gaussian surface, how to choose Gaussian surface, and then how it's helpful for our purpose. So, in last class, we derived one formula, that is E dot ds for a closed surface S is equal to Q by epsilon naught. Here in this formula, four quantities are there. What are these? One is epsilon naught, that is a constant quantity. All of you know its values. Then Q is the charge, and in the left hand side, electric field and the area vector. If we want to calculate the value of E, then what we will do? Simply we calculate the value of closed integral ds, substitute the value of Q, and we will find out E. It is as simple as that. But while doing this, we may face some problem. Which type of problem? If E should be non-uniform, then we can't multiply it. So for each case, suppose non-uniform means how can it be E value will vary? Suppose the surface is like this, right? And charge is here. So its electric field directions may be like this throughout the region. So you can see here all the distances into the particular point of the surface are varying. Here it is something different, here it is something different, here it is something different. So accordingly the value of electric field also changes, right? Another thing also you can observe, the area vector for particular region, here something like this. So here it making some angle theta. Here it is something like this. So here it is making some angle theta. Here it is something like this. So here it is making some angle theta. So here E as well as theta are changing. So we can't do the solution by simply taking E outside and then integrate ds. And that complicate our calculation. Here what we will do here, for each particular point we have to calculate the value of EDS, then have to take the summation, and then we will calculate the value. So to simplify our solution, what we can take, we can maintain the symmetry, or we can say we choose E and theta value remains constant. So how to do this purpose? And that purpose can be solved by Gaussian surface consideration. For that, we take suppose one charge plus Q and we imagine one surface such that all the distances are equidistant from the charge, such that we can get uniform electric field. So how can it be? It may be we can take one sphere or spherical surface, or in the form of football. Then if we draw the radial lines, it will like this. Let all the distances be my here R. Then electric field also uniform or same. As we know, electric field is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R square. So as Q is constant, so it depends upon R. If R is fixed, then E remains same throughout the surface. Now here if we draw the area vector, then area vector for each surface, here, everywhere, where we will plot, it is in the same direction as that of the electric field. So what we can say, the theta, which theta? That E ds cos theta is equal to q by epsilon naught. Here this theta value is the angle between these two. So theta also remains constant or same. So E and theta remains constant. If E value and theta value remains constant, then from this formula what we can do? We can take it outside, and then simply we have to do this surface integral calculation, and we multiply this value, then our purpose will be solved. We can calculate E value, Q value, whatever it is needed, right? So this surface, that hypothetical or imaginary surface that we consider to simplify our purpose, that surface is known as Gaussian. So from the above example we see the Gaussian surface. So how can we define the Gaussian surface? It is any hypothetical closed surface enclosing a charge is called the Gaussian surface of that charge. It must be symmetrical throughout and homogeneous type. It should be such that E at every point is same. Theta between E and ds, the angle between these two, is same at every point. And these are constant for a closed surface. So we can take it outside, that we already discussed. Now the fundamental, so we conclude the fundamental principle of Gaussian surface is symmetry. What symmetry? Symmetry of E and symmetry of Q. We will see how to use this concept for solving different applications of Gauss theorem. So for that we use 4 steps. What are these? At first we will consider a Gaussian surface such that E and theta are symmetrical. We define and E and theta symmetry for each surface. The next step what we will do? We will calculate this surface integral E dot delta S, that left hand side part, right? In left hand side we have that E dot ds is equal to q by epsilon naught. So next part is to calculate E dot delta S. Then we calculate Q. That Q is charge inside the surface. Then apply this formula, put the values, and we calculate the value of E. Now we apply these 4 steps and calculate the value of electric field for different charge distribution. So at first we start with electric field due to point charge. Let Q be a point charge here. Let P be a point here. We have to calculate the electric field due to this charge at point P. Let point P be at a distance r from the Q. So how can we apply the Gauss law here and we calculate the electric field using the Gauss law for this point charge? Earlier we discussed we can calculate electric field here using Coulomb's law, but here our purpose is to find out the electric field using Gauss law. So how can we calculate? For that we have to apply our first step. Our first step is what? To choose Gaussian surface. Why to choose Gaussian surface? We choose Gaussian surface such that we can maintain symmetry, right? To keep the value of E constant. That can be possible only if R is fixed throughout. So in which type of surface we will choose here around this point such that we get the same value of R. So it must be sphere, right? So we choose a sphere keeping this as radius and point PB in its surface. Point PB in the surface of that sphere, right? So here it is also R. Now we take electric field direction. Suppose this is the electric field direction. Here it is the electric field direction. Here if we take the small area element, then the angle of this area element is perpendicular to the surface. So this is in this direction. So angle between E and delta S, that is theta, is equal to 0 degree, as these two are parallel to each other. Then our second step, so at first we write this one. So P is a point at a distance R, from point charge Q, right? Then E and area element delta S at every point on the surface making angle 0. So with this, our first step we choose in our first step, that Gaussian surface. Then second step is what? Second step is to calculate E dot ds, that is left hand side. So we will calculate E dot ds for the closed surface. That is, we can write E ds cos theta, as E and theta are same or constant, so we can take it outside. E cos theta integration S ds. So as it is the sphere, so the total surface enclosed by the sphere is equal to, so E cos theta, so in this part what we can write? 4 pi r square. Surface area of sphere. So how much it is? Theta is equal to, substitute the value of theta into 4 pi r square. So it is E into 4 pi r square. Then next step is what? To calculate the charge inside, or to find out the amount of charge inside that sphere. So the charge inside is how much? The charge inside is equal to Q, because here no other charges are there, so we can write the contribution of charge only due to this single charge Q. Then fourth step is what? Apply Gauss law. Then applying Gauss's theorem, we can write integration, close integration, E dot ds is equal to Q by epsilon naught. In place of E dot ds, we can write E into 4 pi r square, right? So E into 4 pi r square is equal to Q by epsilon naught. Or E is equal to then what? Q by 4 pi epsilon naught r square. So electric field due to point charge is equal to Q by 4 pi epsilon naught. So E is on the surface of the sphere, P is at the surface. So this is the value of E on the surface of the sphere and P is at surface. So this is electric field at point P. Now we will see our second application, that is electric field due to an infinitely long charged wire. So for that, let us we take a thin infinite long straight wire. Suppose this, having a uniform linear charge density lambda. Charge density of this wire is lambda. By symmetry, the electric field of the line charge is directed radially outward. If we take any one cross section, then throughout this, the electric field lines are symmetrical and its magnitude is same at all points equidistant from the line charge, from this. Right? To determine, suppose we have to determine the electric field at point P. At point P at a distance of R from this line charge distribution. So, at first we have to think our first step, in which shape we can take the Gaussian surface such that throughout the surface it form the equal distance throughout, right? So, if we choose a circle here, suppose I am choosing one circle here, then you can observe here, suppose I am choosing one circle here, what you can observe here, this distance is something different, this distance is something different, here the distance is something different. So the variation in the distance of R is there, so we will get the different value of electric field. So we have to think which type of surface we will choose such that it will be equidistant throughout, right? For that, we take a coaxial cylindrical Gaussian surface having radius R and length L and its axis along the line charge, right? So suppose if we take this like this, take it like this, coaxial, this side also we have to maintain equal distance. This distance and this distance remains equal. In this form, we will prepare one Gaussian surface throughout, taking the cross section in each part, right? Here, this is initially our circular path. If we take the radially outward direction throughout, we will get equidistance, right? Then we combine these type of circular faces, then it will make one cylinder here. So here you can observe two flat surfaces. Let we named it as S2, S3 and my curved surface as S1. We have to calculate the electric field at point P. Due to the infinitely long straight uniform charged wire, the Gaussian surface formed is something like this. So here you can observe at the cylindrical part or the curved surface, E is normal to the surface at every point. These are these pins representing the electric field direction, and E, you can observe all these are normal to that surface. So what about this flat surface then? If we take the flat surface cross-sectional area, then electric field direction here to this surface is normal. Then the area vector with respect to this flat surface, they are making angle 90 degree. in both upper part and lower part, so they becomes cancel. But here in this curved surface the electric field is perpendicular as well as the area vector is also in this direction or perpendicular to the surface. So the angle between the electric field and the area vectors is equal to 0 degree because they remains parallel to each other. As per demonstration, we can represent here the direction of E, and E is normal to the curved surface we observed, and at every point it is normal and its magnitude remains constant because it depends upon R, and all these points are equidistant from this line charge. But what about these two flat surfaces? Here the electric field in this direction, if we take the area vector, then the direction of area vector is something like this, and you can observe the angle between the electric field and the area vector is equal to 90 degree for surface S2. For surface S1, here it is electric field direction, the area vector is here, so area vector direction is also in this direction, that is DS1 suppose, then they are parallel, so theta is equal to 0 degree. For this flat surface S3, area vector is perpendicular to E, so here also it is 90 degree, right? For these two flat surfaces, then our direction or angle between the electric field and area vector is 90 degree, and it is 0 degree for flat surface. Now if we will write the electric flux throughout this cylindrical surface, then what we can write? Whatever we done, we represent it in these sentences, everything we have written here. One more thing to add, this cylinder having suppose length L. Now we will calculate the flux, our second step, that is flux. So the total flux linked with the surface is equal to our what? We know that is E dot ds. So E ds for surface 1 plus surface 2 plus surface 3 we will write. So that is surface 1 E ds1 cos. For surface 1 the angle is 0 degree. Plus for surface 2 angle is 90 degree. For surface 3 the angle is same 90 degree. It's cos 90 0, so we remain only with this surface because cos 0 is equal to 1 and other two are cancel out because it gives 0 value. So the final result what we are getting, E into, this is the surface area or area of the curved surface, area of the curved surface, right? So area of the curved surface of the cylinder is equal to how much? We know that is 2 pi r into height, I mean L. So E into 2 pi RL. Now third step is what? In third step we have to write the charge enclosed within the Gaussian surface. So we will see charge enclosed by the Gaussian surface. Gaussian surface Q, that is how much? As we have seen, lambda is our charge density. What it means? Charge density means charge per unit area. So for unit area, charge is equal to our lambda. Then for total length or throughout this area, that is having length L, then total charge enclosed by it is equal to what? Lambda for unit length, then for whole length is equal to lambda into L. Then fourth step is our what? Using Gauss theorem, we apply Gauss theorem. So applying Gauss theorem. What? As per the Gauss theorem, what we can write? Total flux is equal to Q by epsilon naught time. So Q we calculated, that is how much? E into 2 pi RL is equal to Q lambda L divided by epsilon naught. Then our resultant electric field E is equal to L getting cancelled. So how much it is? It is lambda by 2 pi epsilon naught R. So E is equal to our this. Thus the electric field of a line charge is, from here what we concluded? Electric field is inversely proportional to the distance from the line charge R. That point you mention here. Thus the electric field of a line charge is inversely proportional to the distance R from the line charge, right? Here three things we have to mark. The wire must be infinitely long such that they act repulsive force in between the electric field lines to make them parallel or normal to the surface. So first point we have to note down. Then second point what we have to note? The above relation only true for the electric field around the central portion of a line wire. But if we go throughout the end, this effect may be ignored because at the corner point the electric field lines may curl. Right? Curling effect we observe. So this is only applicable to central portions. Next, third application, that is electric field due to a uniformly charged infinite plane sheet. We have to calculate the electric field due to infinite plane sheet. So this is suppose sheet. So here, suppose this is my sheet. I can represent it here diagrammatically, something like this. And charge is uniformly distributed here throughout, right? Plane sheet. So as the charges are distributed here, it is areometric or volumetric? As it is planular, so area vector or surface charge density will comes into picture. So let's its charge density be sigma. Charge density be sigma means charge per unit area. Okay. We have to calculate the electric field produced by it at a point P. At a point P, suppose here, at a distance R from its center. Right? So now, we have to think which type of Gaussian surface we will draw here such that our purpose will be satisfied. For that, we have done several experiments, trial and error basis. Various trial we have performed, and we reach up to an appropriate Gaussian surface in the shape of closed cylinder, or also you can take rectangular parallelopipe whose axis is normal to that sheet of charge, and also we have to maintain the magnitude of E to be constant throughout. For that we take 2 point P and P dash here in the opposite direction, equidistance from the seat at a distance r to maintain the symmetry in both the direction. As the electric field lines are parallel to the, so if we join all these, now what it will be looks like? We form a cylindrical Gaussian surface, right? It's having distance r. We are taking in both the direction to maintain the symmetry, right? Now here the electric field direction is towards this direction, area vector also remains in this direction, so theta is equal to 0 degree. Same scenario for this side too, right? Area vector is also in this direction, so theta is equal to 0 degree. What about this curved surface of that cylinder? Here suppose I will take, this is my area vector, so the area vector direction and electric field direction is this, so angle between them is equal to 90 degree here and here too, in this side too. So in curved surface these are 90 degree and here it is 0 degree. So this is all about our construction part. You will write everything here. Then we will proceed to the second part, that is our what? Flux calculation. So flux linked with the cylindrical Gaussian surface is what? Gaussian surface is our phi is equal to, we know, E dot ds. Yes. So that is due to one curved surface and two flat surface here in this side and this side, right? Front side and back side. So what we can write? Curved E ds cos 90 degree, here angle is our 90 degree, plus close integral E ds cos 0 degree, flat face, which one? Front, plus E ds cos 0 degree, that flat surface, which one? Back. One front, one back. So for this it is 0, for this cos 0 1, so E integration ds, plus for this also we can take E outside, it is ds cos, ds for cos this is 0, so E ds plus E ds, right? So what we can write? E for this closed surface ds, let we consider the total area enclosed be A, right? Then what we can write? EA plus EA. Let A be my total area. Then this is equal to 2EA, right? Then third step is what? To calculate the charge within the Gaussian surface. So charge within the Gaussian surface, how much it is? If sigma is the charge density, what it means? The charge per unit area then it's having total area A. So the total charge within the Gaussian surface Q, then what we can write? Sigma into A. Yes or no? Therefore, next step we can apply now according to Gauss theorem. What we can write? We can write phi is equal to Q by epsilon naught, or phi we already calculated, that is 2EA is equal to Q, means sigma A divided by epsilon naught. A getting cancelled, then we will get E is equal to sigma by 2 epsilon naught. So from here you can observe E is independent of R. Here R term is not there. So at every distance we get equal electric field strength. E is independent, that's what you write here. E is independent of R. So at every distance we get equal electric field strength. What it means? It means the electric field strength is equal at all distances throughout, here. But limitation is the sheet must be infinitely long. If it will not be infinitely long, then we can observe the curling effect. But also one point may make you confused. We know as the distance is more, electric field becomes weaker. But here we are getting, even if the distance is more, then 2 electric field remains constant because it is independent of R. So how it can be possible? So one point to mark here is that this condition, that electric field becomes weaker if distance is more, that is only be applicable in case of point charge. But we are not taking here the point charge. Here it is the distribution of charge. So don't be confused with this point. Let's solve some related numerical based upon the sheet, plain sheet. So here it is given 2 infinite parallel plates have uniform charge densities of sigma 1 and sigma 2. So from here you can observe these two are positively charged parallel plates. They are representing two positively charged parallel plates. What we have to calculate? We have to calculate the electric field at points to the left of the sheets, between them, and to the right of the sheets. So let's plot the diagram using our given information. So two parallel plane sheets having positive charge density sigma 1 and sigma 2. Let it be suppose sigma 1, it be sigma 2, it's my sheet 1, it's sheet 2, right? From this diagram you can observe 3 regions. One is region 1, suppose this is region 2, this is region 3, this is within, you can say also this is out left, this is out right. Now we have to calculate for each region, electric field for each region. So we will see one by one. Here write one point. Electric field of two positively charged parallel planes. that we are calculating, right? So for 1 by 1 for each region we will calculate. So in the region 1, what will happen? We will see. Electric field direction for this region due to sheet 1 is towards this direction, that is my E1. Due to sheet E2, it is in this direction, towards out. So this is E2, right? I am considering magnitude here, only magnitude, ignoring the direction part of this. You can also take direction as per the given information if there be any. So here for region 1 we can write field due to two sheets are E1. What is it? Calculated earlier, the electric field due to sheet is equal to sigma by 2 epsilon naught, as it is in the opposite direction or the negative direction of x-axis, so it is minus. Similarly, E2 is equal to also in the opposite this direction, so it is minus 2 epsilon naught. So from the principle of superposition, what we can write? The total electric field at any point of region 1 is then my how much? E1 is equal to E1 plus E2. That is equal to E1 minus sigma by 2 epsilon naught minus sigma by 2 epsilon naught. Oh sorry, this is sigma 1, this is sigma 2, this is also sigma 1, this is sigma 2, right? So what we can write? 1 by 2 epsilon naught minus, also we can take it out, then this is sigma 1 plus sigma 2. Suppose at any case, if suppose sigma 1 is equal to sigma 2, let it be, we can take with another one constant value, let it be sigma, then in that case the electric field equation may be something like this: sigma 2 getting cancelled, that is sigma by epsilon naught, right? Similarly, we will calculate now for region 2. In between the two plates or two planes, what is our electric field? So in region 2, the field due to two sheets are how is it? For sheet 1, the electric field for this is equal to E1 in this direction. Out for this E2, something like this, E2. So what we can write? E1 is equal to sigma 1 by 2 epsilon naught. Yes or no? Positive direction towards this. Then E2 is equal to this direction, so this is minus sigma by 2 epsilon naught, right? Therefore total field E2 is equal to 1 by 2 epsilon naught sigma 1, this is 2, sigma 1 minus sigma 2, right? So if same case we will apply, if suppose sigma 1 is equal to sigma 2, then what will happen? The above relation becomes E2 is equal to sigma, that is 0. So E2 is equal to 0. So the electric field inside is 0 if the charge density is same. If charge densities are same, then electric field inside is 0. Remember this point. Then next, for reason 3, electric field due to sheet 1, that is E1, here in this direction, and for sheet 2, that is E2, in this direction. So we can write for reason 3, for reason 3, field due to the two sheets E1 is equal to sigma 1 by 2 epsilon naught, both in this direction. Then E2 is equal to sigma 2 by 2 epsilon naught, right? Because both are in this direction. Therefore, total field at the region E3 or third region is equal to 1 by 2 epsilon naught sigma 1 plus sigma 2. If that same condition apply, if sigma 1 is equal to sigma 2 at any time, let it be sigma, then the above relation becomes, that is sigma 2 getting cancelled, so sigma by epsilon naught. So for one case only we have seen it is 0, and for other two cases it is sigma by epsilon naught. Let's take another example. Here it is given two infinite parallel planes have uniform charge densities plus minus sigma. So it is also similar with the previous one, but you can observe here one difference, that is what? Here uniform charge densities, one having magnitude plus, another having negative. So if we plot it diagrammatically, how it is? So two planes. Suppose plane 1 having charge density sigma positive, and another having plane this having charge density minus sigma. So this is my minus 1, this is my plus 1. So they produce electric field throughout. We have to calculate the electric field for region between and outside. So these are the two outside region. Let it be 1, let it be 2, let it be 3 if I named. Then this is left side, left out. This is within, this is out, right? Now what are the things given? Let's write. Consider two parallel planes having uniform charge densities of plus minus sigma. I am including here direction part also, such that you will not confuse with, because electric field is a vector quantity. In the previous one also you can include similarly like this. So we can write, let r cap be a unit vector pointing from left to right, from left side to right side, in this direction. This is my plane 1, this is plane 2, right? Now we will calculate one by one for each region. So at first in the region 1, field due to the two planes. Field due to two planes of E1. E1 is equal to E1. So here, due to this, the direction of electric field due to plane 1, E1, right? Then due to 2, this is in which direction? This direction, because this is negative charge and the electric field is always enters towards this negative, right? So it is in this direction. So what we can write? E1, that is equal to minus, this is left hand side, so minus sigma by 2 epsilon naught, direction is r cap. Similarly for E2 we can write, this is in this direction, so this is sigma positive 2 epsilon naught r cap. So total field due to the 2 at region 1 is equal to E1 plus E2 is equal to minus r cap by 2 epsilon naught sigma plus r cap by 2 epsilon naught sigma, that is equal to, we take common, then sigma by, this is plus minus, simply here also directly you can write, that is 0, right? Now for region 2 we will calculate, second one. In the region 2, field due to the two planes are E1 is equal to how much? E2 is equal to how much we will write? So E1 means due to plane 1, this is E1. Then E2 always directed in this direction towards, so this is E2 if charge is negative, right? So what we can write? E1, both are in this positive x direction, so this is r cap by 2 epsilon naught sigma, this is also r cap by 2 epsilon naught sigma. Therefore total field E2 is equal to r cap by 2 epsilon naught sigma plus r cap by 2 epsilon naught sigma, that is equal to 2 times this, means sigma by epsilon naught r cap, right? Now for region 3, in the region 3, I mean in this region, electric field due to plane 1, this is E1. Electric field due to plane 2, this is always inward, right? So this is E2. So what we can write? E1 is equal to sigma by 2 epsilon naught r cap. E2 is equal to vector, all these are, so E2 is equal to, in this is in this direction, so this is minus sigma by 2 epsilon naught r cap. Therefore total field at region 3 is equal to how much? Sigma by 2 epsilon naught r cap minus sigma by 2 epsilon naught r cap, that is equal to 0. So here also we get 0, here also we get 0, means in the outside region, from here then we can conclude the electric field between the two oppositely charged plates of equal charge density, if there be in this condition, then within the field, within it only we get the electric field, that is sigma by epsilon naught, and outside regions the electric field is equal to 0. and this arrangement is used for producing uniform electric field. Okay.